pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I'd be more than happy to stumble through that.
It is good, seriously, to hear Commissioner Brewer talk, and it really is. He's had surgery, and just that he's able to, we may have to stitch the lips back together, but
My wife said it wasn't enough.
Didn't go around far enough.
35
They cut enough of the
stitches.
jaw out.
I meant this way.
Let us pray, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the blessings you have bestowed on us. We just recently celebrated the resurrection of your Son. His sacrifice for us to remove our sins was the greatest gift to mankind. Jesus said to you, if you want to be with my Father in heaven, you got to come through me. And what a beautiful place heaven must be. I want to thank you for protecting us and guiding us in the direction of your teachings. I want to bless and watch over our first responders. Actually, bless us all and watch over us all. We're in trying times as a nation, and just recently our hearts go out to the people in Louisville. May all of this come to an end, and we see love better than we do violence. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble, Commissioner Newby,
Here.
Commissioner Brewer,
Here.
Mayor Blythe.
Here, thank you. We have two presentations. First, happy to welcome our friend Craig Williams to the chambers this evening, and he was here. He came in late after the meeting had begun last meeting, but just happy that we got him back this week and to get an update, and it's good news.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, indeed it is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Got you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I apologize for last meeting's lateness. I had the wrong time in my alarm, and city manager instructed me to go home, so I did. Anyway, I appreciate the opportunity. This really good news. I began working on this project in 1984, and it's now 2023, and we're about to see the end of it. And so I'll probably be briefing you one more time before the ceremony of completion of operations, which is scheduled for October 11th at the Army Reserve Center down on Battlefield. As you can imagine, many people are excited about finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in this regard, and I'm certainly one of them, so appreciate it. Next slide, please. Oh, is that up to me?
Oh, I don't.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, appreciate it. I'm technically challenged. As you can see, we've been through a number of campaigns. Out of the 523 tons of chemical warfare agent that were stored here when the project began, we've destroyed, and when I say we, I mean the community, the Army, CSEP, Aqua, all the involved parties, which are too numerous to mention. but they've completed destruction of 432.8 tons of the original 523. So we're getting mighty close. We're on the last campaign now, which is the GB rockets. You'll see it at the very right-hand side. And of that stockpile, we're 67.3% finished with that stockpile. And that's the last of it. So we're very, very excited. And it's come off without any serious incidents or accidents. Mayor Blythe is at most of the CAC CD CAB meetings. And every meeting starts out with a safety briefing. And the amount of injuries that have happened at this place with such a complex operation is very, very impressive. Millions of hours without really any serious accidents. So that's a tribute to the Army, to the chemical activity, which babysits the storage, and of course to Bechtel and Aqua, who are in charge of the disposal project. Bechtel Parsons Bluegrass Economic Impact, and this is as of April 7th. So this is, this is as of March 22nd. And so it's a little bit higher than this. But the acquisition has been $199 million spent with Kentucky companies, $116 million spent in Madison and surrounding counties. Currently, there's 1,487. I think that number's up by about 4 since this chart. And the local payroll has been an astonishing $1.235 billion has been paid locally due to this project. And I'll go into a little of the economic impact when the project's over a little bit later in my presentation. The efforts to draw down as we near completion is that there's a engagement with the operations of Aqua and the JV, which is the joint venture, Bechtel Parsons Bluegrass and their subcontractors, the Government Commission, and the Citizens Advisory Board, both of which I co-chair. I want to parenthetically say that Dr. Doug Heineman, who's been chair of the Governor's Commission since its inception, is turned over the co-chairmanship to me because of his ill health. He's at the Terrace in Berea. I saw him last Friday. He has improved since. I go see him every week. Previous week, I didn't know what to think. This week, he was doing a lot better. So he has had a procedure, and his health is improving, so we're all glad of that. We also continue with the closure working group, which is looking at all the aspects of the process. Once the weapons are gone, there's a 3 to 4 year closure period associated with the project to tie up all the loose ends, decontaminate anything that's been contaminated, decide what's going to remain, et cetera, et cetera. I continue working on the Economic Impact Working Group as well, and engage with the post-demil property disposition decisions, which are, needless to say, complicated like everything else associated with this program. A summary of the economic impact activities. Bechtel Parsons Bluegrass has hired 2 workforce people to train staff and have hired them to help with the transition. Battelle Labs has hired an additional staff person to help with the transition of the workforce. Amentum, which is the largest subcontractor that hires out there, has also hired one, and I hear they're hiring another one. All of this is targeted at help the transition of the 1,490 workers who are out there. What are they going to do? This is the last chemical weapons site in the country. A lot of the workforce that's here now have come after completion of operations at other sites. There's no other sites left. So we got to look out for them because they've done so much for our community, and we would like to keep as many of them here as possible. We also have a workforce retention incentives that all the companies and all the subcontractors have a very healthy and generous workforce incentive to keep the operational people here during the last phase. They know they're going to be sunsetted. They know they're going to have to find something else. We don't want to lose them now because they know what they're doing. They've been at this for years. We want to keep them here, so the contractors have offered them a significant incentive to stay till the end of operations. We've also done there is a feasibility study ongoing that was directed to be done by the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act, authored by Congressman Barr. And the due date on that was March 1st, but they've just now recently begun. And the focus on that is, what do we do with the remaining infrastructure at the site once the project is over? It's been agreed to that anything that has been contaminated by agent, like the munitions disposal building and other aspects of the project, will be dismantled and razed. The other $1 billion worth of infrastructure has yet to be determined as to what to do with that. So the Army, the depot, is working on that feasibility study. There's a lot of equipment out there, and so in particular, because they still continue to do open burn and open detonation with the conventional weapons, we're very interested in the static detonation chambers that can eliminate the open detonation of conventional weapons, which you hear exploding several times a year out there. And we've made great progress with that project, both in the National Academy of Sciences and within the Army's munitions, Joint Munitions Campaign, or Joint Munitions Authority, rather. New industry interest. There has been several major corporations that have visited Madison County, have looked at the workforce, which is highly trained, highly security cleared, passed every drug test, every background check. In order to work with weapons of mass destruction, you have to have a very high security clearance, and all those workers out there do. We've met with the Secretary of Economic Development several times now, and local government leaders and other folks since well after late February when I made this chart. So we're working very hard to ensure that the workforce stays in some capacity, either integrated into our existing industrial infrastructure or try to attract new industries that can take advantage of this highly trained, highly skilled, highly security cleared group of workers. It's a very unusual circumstance. You have an almost definite deadline when all these people are going to be free, and you have credentials with all these people that makes it very unusual for a community to have that asset. So we're working hard on trying to maintain that workforce here. We also have we've had a grant from the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. They changed their name recently from the Office of Economic Development to this. So I still have a little trouble remembering what it is. But anyway, it's a Defense Department grant. It was given to the Bluegrass Area Development District. They have hired a consultant, MWM Consulting, which you may be familiar with. And that study is due out probably next month or the month after that. Additional information keeps coming into this effort. And so it's it's a live document looking at all the characteristics of the workforce, their pedigree, their skills, their ability to transfer into other types of work. So that's a huge study going on, and it should be coming out fairly soon, which will help facilitate the earlier points that I made of integrating the workforce into the existing industry or attracting new industry. Some of the highlights of that study are presented here. I won't go over them. You can read them for yourself, or you can contact me and I'll provide them for you. Some of the more interesting workforce capabilities are engineering, industrial hygiene, plant operations, skilled trade, and technicians. You can imagine with an operation this technologically complex, how many engineers and technicians it takes to operate. If you've not been out to this facility, you can't really appreciate the vastness and the complexity of it. But it is a remarkable engineering complex, and a lot of those folks are going to be looking for something to do when it's over, and we'd like to have them stick around. The Closure Working Group has met several times. We're meeting again tomorrow, actually, which is a group from the Citizens Advisory Board that meets with the interested parties in what do we do as we move through closure and we move towards the end, the final end of operations and closure, which, as I mentioned, is going to take 3 or 4 years to do that. It's quite complicated as to what to do with all the different property, what to do with all the equipment, what to recycle, what to maintain for the depot's use post-chemical demill. And so all those factors are involved in the Closure Working Group that I chair as well. Finally, there are some positions open now at both Bechtel, Parsons, and Amentum. If you all are interested or know someone that might be looking for a job, they can go up to the Bechtel website. It's bechtel.com. And all of their jobs for them or Parsons or the other subcontractors, Battelle, and et cetera, are all listed on that page. So with that, I'd just like to say that I appreciate particularly Mayor Blythe's support over the years. He's a real participant in this, has been, asked some very tough and very good questions at some of these meetings, and he's doing that on the city's behalf, and also the commissioners and the previous commissioners who have listened to me for all these years and put up with my lateness and my inability to present things clearly, and Lisa too for bearing with me as I shift from trying to be late to trying to be on time. So I'll take any questions anybody might have. Thank you very much.
Are there any, thank you so much, Greg. Are there any from the commission? None?
I just wanted to say, just a comment, not really a question, but looking at the statistics that you shared with us in terms of the workforce that's there now and folks that we want to keep in this community that are skilled and trained and, like you said, have been through every background check, every security check that one can go through. You probably read a couple of meetings ago, but we as the City of Richmond are trying super hard to recruit, to market ourselves for a potential new industry and have the site ready out there in the industrial park. So I hope that the timing, in a perfect world, that timing would mesh together very
Pretty
nice.
close. It's pretty close. And you
Yes.
got a great one in David Stipes, by the way.
Yes.
He's been involved in this for years with me, and we have been talking to some major corporations, which we're not allowed to say who they are, of course. And David has been right there with me and other members of the advisory board in trying to clear a path to allow some of these major corporations to come in here. And I have to tell you, every one of them that we've talked to is super impressed, not only with Richmond and Berea, but the county. And the way the mayors and the judge work together is quite impressive. And that impresses a lot of people, because they've been to some communities where people are at odds with each other. And in the years I've lived in this area for 40 some odd years, I don't think I've ever seen as much cooperation and engagement between the three governments. So that impresses these corporations. They like to see that. So I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Are they aware that that we're doing our second pad, industrial pad?
Yes. Yes, and they're aware of the 600 acres that's
Right.
been optioned as well. That's,
So you all present that to them too?
we
when they-
discuss all aspects, and if I don't know it, David knows it.
Yeah,
And if he doesn't know it, Bruce Fraley knows it. And if he doesn't know it, Reagan knows it. And if he doesn't know it, then probably nobody knows it out of that group. But if somebody knows something I don't know, please let me know.
well, they can contact our city manager because we put everything in there in his lap.
Well, yeah, he's been to several of these meetings, and he's an intricate part of this
Yes.
whole discussion.
Yeah.
And he's so busy that, we don't invite him to every meeting. We brief him on what's going on, he
Yeah.
briefs us on what's going on. The communication is wonderful between all parties that are rowing in the same direction. Trying to keep, the amount of revenue that's gonna be lost between CSEP and this workforce is astronomical for this community. Now, CSEP, we can't do anything about. That's going to go away, although we are working on having that go away gradually rather than having them pull the plug all at once. And that's we're making progress with that, so we got some breathing room. But as far as this workforce goes, once they're done, they're done. And if there's nothing for them to do, they're gonna go find something.
I'll say this, you know, it's, the leadership we've had over the past 5 years has worked very hard on industrial development. And in the past 5 years, we've created 550 new jobs in the industry and retail commercial sector. And since we've put the option on the 600 acres out on Duncannon, David and I have been to a half a dozen site visits. And they're taking a serious look at us. We're the premier property in the state of Kentucky right now. The Cabinet for Economic Development will tell you that. It's very competitive. I mean, you go from, we recently were in a meeting and there was 110 cities considered. We made the top 15, so we're getting down into the weeds with it. But what you have to remember, we're competing with states like Ohio, Tennessee, South Carolina, and it is very competitive. But for the Cabinet for Economic Development to say we have the premier site in Kentucky right now with what's going on in the EV sector is very exciting for us. And of course, we can't talk about it. We've signed disclosure agreements, but all I can say is we've baited a lot of hooks and they're in the water. And the fish seem like they're circling the bait, so I think we're getting close.
I agree, Rob, and we've been up several times to meet with him as well and his staff. Bluegrass Area Development District was with us. David was with us the first time we met with them. They're very enthusiastic about this opportunity as I presented it. And so I think we got a lot going here, and I'm hopeful that this will transition into something much bigger and much more permanent, although after 35 years, it seems pretty permanent. But so I agree completely with Rob. You all got a good thing going.
What did the Alabama, what was the name of that?
Anniston.
Anniston.
Yeah.
What did they do after they closed theirs down?
Well, they tore their site down,
Right,
and they were late on getting this, what is now the OLDCC grant money. It was called Economic Development at
Right.
the time. They didn't apply for that till after they were done. So they got a grant to look at what do they do with the workers as they were waving goodbye to them. So we learned from that that we needed
so
to be
you
ahead.
started now.
Yeah, we met with the Office of Economic Adjustment 6 years ago. And the thing that stopped us then was they said you're not allowed to apply until you're 3 years from completion of the project. So we said, you mean we got to be almost falling off the cliff before you can throw us a rope? They said, yeah. So when we were 3 years out, we went right back to them, and that's why we got this study going on. It's funded several hundred thousands of dollars. So we're working hard at it, all of us together.
So this is the last site.
This is it.
Tuele and,
They're all
All
done but
gone.
us, and Pueblo, Colorado
Yeah.
is, and I just talked to their advisory commission chair about, in the parking lot here, about 20, 30 minutes ago. And I asked her, I said, when do you think you're gonna be completed? She said, well, mid to late August. And I said, well, that's when we think we're gonna get completed too. So not that we're gonna jeopardize safety or anything, but both sides are looking at each other to see who can get to the finish line first. And not that it matters, but once we're done, I'm working on with the Historical Society to try and get a plaque here that notes that Richmond, Kentucky was the last and final chemical weapons disposal site in the country, that we were part of the international treaty, and because we finished, we've lived up to our international obligations. And they're very interested in doing that with us.
well, we were the only ones that were aqua, is that right?
No, Pueblo, Colorado was
Pueblo
aqua
was
as well.
too.
Yeah. And,
Now, what'd they do with their facility?
I'm sorry,
What'd they do with their facility after is it
Anniston's or
No,
Pueblo's?
Pueblo.
They're still operational.
still, they
Yeah.
got how much? They're
They-
gonna be done before
They've
us.
they've completed about, I think Irene said 92% of theirs, but they only had mustard agent.
Right, yeah.
Now, they had it in
VX
different
and-
munitions, but it was a piece of cake compared to what we got.
Yeah,
So we've done very well with the complexity.
GB, and we had it all, right?
Yeah, we had
GB,
mustard, VX, and GB in 4 different kinds of weapons.
Yeah,
They had one kind of agent in 3 different kinds of weapons. So once they started running one of the
They could-
campaigns, it
Yeah.
just went pretty quick. Okay.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We were able to learn lessons from those other sites and the things that they did that maybe were not the best. Some of you may remember over the years, the public relations aspect was just key to getting this done, because when the people didn't know what was going on, some of you might remember the days when folks here would say, well, if they decide they're going to transport that stuff, they better not bring it down my street. I mean, there was that kind of fear. And then I don't want them to burn it because it'll be in the air. And there were all kinds of fears that were expressed. So here we are, and we learned lessons from those other sites. I had the privilege to go down to Anniston to see what happens on the other end when the project is about 100% completed. You know, what happens to some of the buildings and some of the property that had to be cleaned up by EPA's instruction and guidance and all those kind of things. So we've still got that to go through. Greg, thank you. You've done a tremendous job, and that's understatement for this community. And the passion that you've demonstrated over these years will not be forgotten, my friend. All righty.
Can't get any better than that, so I'm out of here.
Hey, Lisa,
Madam Clerk,
went to January
the,
January
citizen-
the 10th on my packet. I don't know, I'm just gonna hang it up. Sorry, Mayor. My tab was not working correctly, so it just keeps clicking back and forth.
side I'm scratching on.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, we have a citizen presentation. Mr. Ron Gossius. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. To the mayor, longtime commissioner, minister, educator at EKU, who has dedicated his life to the betterment of society, I am pleased to present, with the governor of our great Commonwealth, the Honorary Robert R. Blythe, Kentucky Colonel. Colonel Blythe.
One thing you've not learned, you're not to bring surprises here. We've got a place on the wall, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice, that's very nice.
Frank,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Also, his wife, who recently passed away, but she was very kind to me also. Take care, my friend. Bless you. Okay. Lee Lane, like I tell the church, okay, I can't see now. Very kind, very kind. All right, we have the minutes in our packet for the regular meeting held on March 28 at 6 p. And had a chance to look at those. Maybe have a motion, please, that we will approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Commissioner Cole.
Second.
Commissioner Newby, is there any discussion? Any discussion? Are there any questions or discussion? I was trying to just save time by putting question and discussion together, so it's discussion. None. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble? Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-11, an ordinance enacting and adopting supplements to the Code of Ordinances for the City of Richmond, Kentucky. This is a second reading. Therefore, we vote. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the American Legal Publishing Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio has completed the 2023 S-27 supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Richmond, which supplements contain all ordinances of a general nature enacted since the prior supplement to the Code of Ordinances of this municipality. And whereas American Legal Publishing Corporation has recommended the revision or addition of certain sections of the Code of Ordinances which are based on or make references to the sections of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. And whereas it is the intent for the Commission to accept these updated sections in accordance with the changes of laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Now therefore be it ordained by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the 2023 S-27 supplements of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Richmond, Kentucky, as submitted by American Legal Publishing Corporation, a corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio, be and hereby is adopted by reference. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the date of passage, approval, and publication as required by law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's ordinance 23-11. May we have a motion, please, and bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Cole
Second.
and Commissioner Goble. Is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-13, an ordinance of the City of Richmond amending the annual budget for the City of Richmond for the fiscal year 2023, estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operations of city government. This is a second reading. We will vote. Mr. City Manager, please, and Madam Finance Director.
Mayor, Commissioners, Sharon will read the ordinance, and then we'll answer any questions when she's done.
An ordinance of the City of Richmond amending the annual budget for the City of Richmond for the fiscal year 2023, estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operations of city government. Whereas a budget proposal has been prepared and delivered to the City Commission, and whereas the City Commission has reviewed the amended budget proposal and necessary modifications have been completed as recommended, now therefore be it ordained by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the amended annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July the 1st, 2022 and ending June the 30th, 2023 is hereby presented as follows. Our resources available in the general fund is the resources available with the estimated balance carried forth in the general fund is $23 million. Our locally generated revenue is $34,834,461, or state and federal funds, $907,789, for total resources for appropriation of $58,742,250. Our appropriations are $47,013,475, with a total estimated fund balance as of 6/30/23 of $11,728,775,000. In our contingency fund, our balance forward is $16,450,686,000. Our locally generated revenue, $3.1 million. Total resources for appropriation, $19,550,686,000. We do not expect any appropriations, so the ending balance will be $19,550,686,000. In our stormwater bond, our estimated balance carried forward is $105,950. Locally generated revenue is $135,000 for total resources for appropriation of $241,000. Our appropriations are $106,000 with an ending balance of $135,000. In our capital projects fund, our balance carried forward is $3.6 million. Our locally generated revenue of $1.9 million. Our state and federal funds of $590,000, and our total resources for appropriation are $6,140,000. Our appropriations are $6,065,800 for an ending balance of $74,200. In our opioid account, we didn't have a balance carried forward, but we do have monies that have come in of $189,000 and possibly a $50,000 appropriation for an ending balance of $139,000 in our ARPA fund. Our balance carried forward is $8,150,000. And so that's our total resources for appropriations of $8,150,000. Our appropriations, $6,909,355 with an ending balance of $1,240,645. The 2023 amended fiscal year budget is hereby approved as submitted. The amounts budgeted above are hereby appropriated to the accounts indicated for the 2023 fiscal year budget. The city clerk is hereby directed to publish a copy of the amended fiscal year 2023 budget ordinance in accordance with KRS 424.240. The ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon second reading and adoption and publication by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Finance Director. Anything you want to add before we ask for a motion to City Manager? Let's get it on the floor. Then maybe have a motion, please, that we will bring ordinance 23-13 to the floor for discussion and approval.
I move.
Second.
Commissioner Newby and Commissioner Brewer. Yes, is there any discussion? Mr. City Manager, please.
Mayor, the highlights to this budget amendment for me are the $3 million we're transferring to our contingency reserve or our rainy day fund, which brings that account up to $19,550,000. And then the other one is transferring $1,950,000 to our internal capital projects fund, and that brings that account up to $6,140,000. And for our newly elected officials, we have an internal capital project fund that we appropriate $10 million to. It's kind of like a internal financing mechanism for projects. By ordinance, we can utilize those funds for projects, but we're also required to pay it back each year. So it's almost like a interest-free internal project fund. Sharon's worked very hard on this, and we do this every year, and I think this gets us in line just about on every line item there is. And we'll certainly answer any questions.
Any further discussion from the commission? Are there any questions? Sharon, thank you. Thank you. There is no further discussion. Let's see, this is second.
Second reading, yes.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-14, an ordinance of the City of Richmond amending Ordinance 23-07 for the purpose of establishing a place and time for the regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners. This too is a second reading, therefore we will vote. Mr. Attorney, please.
And as a correction, I believe it is the first reading,
Yes,
Mayor.
sir.
I believe that's a typo on the agenda.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Whereas-
This is the first reading.
Yes, sir. Whereas applicable Kentucky law requires that the city by ordinance establish a place and time for regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners. Now, therefore, be it ordained that the Board of Commissioners shall have its regular scheduled meeting in accordance with the following schedule. On the second Tuesday of each month, there shall be a 6 p.m. regular meeting. On the fourth Tuesday of each month, there shall be a meeting at 6 o'clock, a regular meeting. The regular meetings shall take place in the Commission Chambers on the first floor in Richmond City Hall, 239 West Main Street, Richmond, Kentucky. On the third Thursday, there shall be a meeting at 12 o'clock p.m. noon, the workshop meeting. The workshop meeting shall take place in the conference room on the first floor in Richmond City Hall, 239 West Main Street, Richmond, Kentucky. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon passage after second reading and publication in accordance with the requirements of applicable Kentucky law.
Thank you, sir. This is ordinance 23-14. May we have a motion, please, bring the floor for discussion?
I move.
Thank you, Commissioner Newby
Second.
and Commissioner Goble. Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Oh, yeah,
Now, we're
question.
not voting, but any
Question.
discussion? Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Attorney, the workshop, the third, it's the third, because it's been kind of danced around, and,
Yes.
you know, I'm just, so it was, I think it was the Wednesday or something at 3 or 4. So it's the third,
The third Thursday at noon.
okay. And I'm fine, as long as we get something set, you know, with us and our assistants and our secretaries and our date books. You know, I'm prepared to revolve my life around that workshop, as long as we get something set in stone. Okay.
Madam Clerk, just out of curiosity, and Mr. Attorney and Mr. City Manager, has anyone just taken a moment to take a calendar of the year and kind of plot those out and see where they land? Is anybody? I did.
I looked
Well, that's
at
late.
it, and there is some months where you'll have a Tuesday commission meeting and a Wednesday work session in the same week.
That's right.
It being the third Thursday, that does happen in some months.
That's right.
So
But it wouldn't happen as often if it was on a Thursday as it would a Wednesday, the way the calendars roll.
that's probably right. I don't know, but it's at noon on Thursday, and that seemed to work with all of you all's calendars as well.
Just
So
an
that was
observation.
the
Yes,
first
indeed.
thing we were
That's
looking
fine.
at.
Yes, I think the time will help also.
And if we run into some things, we can always do a special call meeting, so.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. Thank you very much for working on that, Mr. Attorney and Madam Clerk and Mr. City Manager. Order 23-56, order of the City of Richmond awarding a bid for the general maintenance services. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the city wishes to contract out services for the general property maintenance, and whereas bid specs were advertised on March 23rd, and 2 bids were submitted by the deadline of March 31st by 1 p.m., the bids have been reviewed and a recommendation has been made to accept the best proposal. Now therefore be it ordered by the Richmond City Commission that the bid for the general property maintenance contract is awarded to King Enterprise of Richmond, Kentucky. The contract is effective 2 years from this date. Pricing is based on an hourly rate for services such as commercial mowing, bush hogging, tree trimming, grass trimming, and cleanup. The bid and price checklist is attached to this order. The mayor is hereby authorized to sign the contract with said company. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the reading of order 23-56. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor, discussion and approval?
I move.
So moved.
Commissioner
Second.
Newby, Commissioner Goble.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
one clarification we made with Mr. King on this bid was there was a line item in here for $300 minimum hourly rate. We did confirm with him, that's only for when he has to use a track hoe or a skid loader or heavy equipment. So notwithstanding.
labor.
Yeah, but heavy equipment. So the bush hogging, the mowing, the chainsawing, the weed eating is just at the hourly rate that it reflects on the sheet, and there's not some 300 minimum to go out and mow a half-acre lot or something.
Just a question also, clarification, and the services that will be provided under this contract will be in addition to, are we still using, I don't want to call it, Silver Cliff we were?
We are, Silver Cliff provides us with our building and grounds maintenance, City Hall, District Court, and the Active Living Center. This contract is for, we maintain about a dozen empty lots that we mow, and then we put a lien on the property back to the property owner. It's also retention and detention ponds that don't get cleaned up because they don't establish a HOA in a subdivision. We use this contractor for that,
Okay.
and many other things as well.
So
So
the-
it's separate from that.
And this will be as needed? It's not
Yes,
like they're-
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
More as needed and not on a routine schedule like
Thank
Silver
you.
Cliff is. That's
Thank you.
correct.
Any further discussion? Thank you for responses? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Order 23-57, an order of the City of Richmond adopting a revised policy for the Richmond Police Department. Madam Clerk, again, please.
The Richmond City Police Department is in the process of revising and establishing policies and procedures for the department, and whereas it is recommended practice to adopt sections of the policy and procedure manual as completed and reviewed. And whereas these policies have been reviewed by all parties, including the city attorney, and ensures that the department is in compliance with accreditation. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the following policy and procedure for the Richmond Police Department is hereby adopted by the Richmond Board of Commissioners as official policy for the Richmond Police Department. Section 5.03, the grievance procedure policy. The general order is attached to this order and shall become a permanent part of this order. The general order also adopted by this order shall become a part of the Richmond.
All right. No discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. This time is public comments period. Is anyone who's come to the chambers tonight to make a comment or statement?
Mayor, we have with us tonight Frances Ritchie from Rumpke. And I think she wants to come up and just talk a little bit about how the transition is going to Rumpke from Waste Management.
Yes, indeedy. Thought you looked familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have been servicing Richmond commercial accounts since March 1st. We started delivering all the dumpsters February. We got what we could deliver with space and time and things like that. But I can tell you from the phone calls that I get and what I see as far as work orders made and things like that, we are definitely on the downward slope of everything. It is kind of like we've got everything placed, everything is getting serviced, it's getting serviced on time. There's always going to be a little, something happened yesterday, missed one or two, but I have a very good team that I am very, very impressed with right now. And I just wanted to let you guys know that on my end, it looks great. I just wanted to see what you guys were seeing, if there was anything that you would recommend for us to continue doing or to start doing.
I gotta say, on our
comment,
end,
yes.
we had the first, month or 6 weeks where we kind of weathered the storm of the transition, and we talked a lot, and Lisa and Wanda have worked very hard and worked alongside with Frances and her group, but it's been a pretty smooth transition. The one big piece of feedback that I've gotten is the customer service. If somebody calls Rumpke, they talk to somebody like her and they get an answer, or Lisa or Wanda gets that answer. And I liked what Frances sent me today. She's like, I want to come to your commission meeting tonight and to speak to the elected officials and let them know that we're here for good and we don't just take your service and not show up. I don't know that we ever had Waste Management show up, just saying. So it's nice to see her here and taking any questions or criticisms
Right.
with the transition.
It's one thing that I sent to Wanda, actually, you guys have a code enforcement department, and, sometimes there's trash out. Please let me know beforehand, I don't want anybody in Richmond to get in trouble for a mistake we've made. So, I want to be fair across the board that we're gonna do what we promised we were gonna do.
We're not hard to get along with. He is, but we're not.
I'm always a bad guy.
But,
Yes.
we've had somebody down here the entire month of February, the entire month of March. He's finally getting to go down the interstate a little bit, kind of staying out, but he was down here every single day, helping the drivers get things where they need to be. I really am totally and completely impressed with my team. We've had a driver that just stepped forward, knew Richmond, had done this, had lived here, done it before, guided our other drivers to where everything was. I think it sounds like I just came to brag a little bit, but I wanted to, if you guys had anything that comes
We
along.
like to brag about trash. We don't like to talk trash about trash.
Listen, it's really nice to drive down Richmond and see these nice brown dumpsters out. I'm real proud.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, before I ever ran, many of the conversations I had was about garbage for some reason. But I would just say customer service is hugely important, and answering phone calls and getting back with people in a timely, I mean, that was all I heard, was that I would call and not get a garbage can for 3 months, or, these are just ongoing things
Right,
that happened.
right.
But I think that's probably going to be the most important thing as we move into residential, that we
Absolutely.
are customer service driven,
Yes.
I think so far, as in your dumpsters, I'm just from driving around, I always see, and there's always, and there's always going to be like a last minute pop-up thing. You may see, and I think I had the discussion with the city manager about this, you may see, the dumpster was picked up, but hey, well, there's a mattress there. But 99 times out of 100, that mattress was probably brought here in the middle of the night from somebody in another
Absolutely.
county.
Yes.
So, but,
And
that-
we're getting
sure.
our drivers to start letting us know, letting there's a lot of apartment complexes and the
Sure.
management companies, making sure they're aware of what the policies and procedures are. And they'll, usually, I think I kind of took hold myself of all the property management companies, because they're most of the apartments, and that's where you're going to see most of your mattresses and couches. So those, I kind of communicated myself. That way I can kind of watch it. So hopefully that'll help out a lot.
Well, I was
You
going to
ever have
say,
occasion- You ever have occasion to contact our Public Works Department in a situation like that where somebody is just,
And I do
Throwing
that. I
it
do
out
that.
there and-
I would, because I think the city can help you out a little there. If
Yes, and I
something,
think I've actually emailed.
dumped out there at the last minute in the middle of the night. Well, hey, they just picked it up yesterday. Well, and then, like I said, it's usually not from the residents in that area.
right.
Right,
right.
So,
right.
Commissioner, go.
I was just going to say, we have 2 businesses, and it's been seamless, so
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you. I really do have a good team, and we know that there's going to be some that we missed calling on or getting information on, especially anybody with carts. Dumpsters, I'm pretty confident we've got everybody, but carts are going to be trickling in. So if anybody says, or mentions that they have a commercial business, they have carts, and their cart is not brown, send them my way.
It's not that I don't have a life, but I drove out to the Richmond. Stop it, Tyler. I drove out to the Richmond Center a lot of times, a few weeks before March 1, where you were staging all of these.
Yes.
And I thought they're going to be ready to go on time.
Yes.
Thank you, because I knew there were people who were watching.
Well,
Thank
it looks clean to me. So, and speaking of clean, Rumpke is a sponsor of the Main Street Clean Sweep that is part of Bluegrass Green Source. So I was very excited that you guys are participating this year.
Yes.
So me and as many Rumpke employees as I can gather are going to come and participate. if
Awesome.
You guys will have us.
And I think, when you get to residentials also, that's something that the city, the residents, they can work with you. Because I think once they see it's getting picked up in a timely manner, they're going to be more apt to put their stuff out there neatly where they're supposed to be, where it's easily picked up for you.
Correct, correct.
But that's just something that we all need to work together on.
Communication is key, and I think, Mayor Blythe, we came to a conclusion that everybody
Yes.
wants to feel heard.
Yes.
As long as they feel heard.
Yeah.
And
That's it, that's it.
that's been my
Thank
mantra, so when you said that, I was like,
Thank you.
we got this.
Yes, yes.
And the residential transition will start in January of '24.
We'll have time to let folks know and let folks know so
Yes.
that there's no surprises.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, because people are expecting to see that when they don't pay attention to the meetings or perhaps the paper.
Right, right.
They say, well, where's mine, why aren't we? But,
Right, I've got I believe they're already working on it on our
you're getting
end.
phone calls about that too?
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of people,
Aren't
there's a
you?
little bit of confusion
Yeah,
of
sure.
what's considered commercial, what's considered residential. That'll,
Well, it'll take time, it's not, yeah.
right. And if somebody needs service, we're gonna provide it.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
I'm gonna leave some cards here.
Thank you.
Perfect. Need to get on me. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comments? Yes, Virgil.
I think there's a lot down the street from me that I think the city, I think y'all mow that lot. There's a giant tree that came down during the storm,
Okay.
and it's gonna take some big chainsaws to get that thing.
Is that on the corner from your house?
Right, it's right down on the corner when you know where the rock quarry is, when you
Yeah.
make the turn. If you look right, that lot, y'all, I think the city mows that lot right there. And it's a big giant tree that came down during that storm, and it's been laying down there. And also on the other end of Elm, next to where the fire was, is that house condemned there, Mr. Manrich?
Which one's that now?
The one next to
I
to
think
where
it
to
is.
where the fire was.
Yeah.
I thought.
I think it's been condemned,
I
yeah.
thought
Yeah.
so because I haven't seen anybody in it, and I thought to myself, I said, I bet that
another
house.
one?
That makes two,
Took
really.
down
There's,
one.
but there's another one.
Yeah, and there's another one right up the street
Yeah,
on
right
the
up the
right.
street from it. It's been condemned, and I think we're waiting for the owner to see what they do with it before we take any action.
Yes, sir.
Is
Yes,
last
sir.
I heard.
Because everything else on that street is looking nice, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, it's gotten better.
looking up the code and everything, but that tree there, Mr. Manrich, if y'all could take a look at it before some kids or something go over and
Yeah.
start messing around, you know.
And I've still got your note about the stuff behind open concern as well. We haven't gotten
Yes,
to
sir.
that yet. They've been busy, but it's
Yes,
on
sir.
their list.
I understand.
So
I
I haven't
appreciate it.
forgotten you. I want you to know that.
Okay, I know you haven't. I appreciate it.
You know how to get hold of me, don't
Amazed
you?
Yeah.
at the number of really big trees
Yeah,
that came down
yeah.
this time. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, this tree down there, it's,
Hundreds of years old are they?
I don't know if a regular chainsaw will get it. It's a big old tree, so it's gonna take some work to get
Is
it.
this the one next to Miss Dorson?
Next to Miss Dorson,
Yeah, I-
next to Miss Dorson. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you, sir. It's
Virgil.
on the Hill Street side, actually, Rob. Anyone else from the audience? Mr. City Manager, is there any department that is to report tonight?
No, they're all at Tasty Tuesdays.
We're gonna get us up there. For the, Mr. City Manager, your report, please.
I've got several items tonight. Our free shred day at recycling is this Friday, the 14th, from 3 to 5. So you can bring anything you want shredded to our facility on recycling drive. Our downtown cleanup, as Francis mentioned, is the 21st, a week from Friday. We're gonna meet here at City Hall at noon, feed everybody lunch. I think everybody gets a T-shirt, and then we'll break out into different sections downtown to pick up trash. Flower pots and hanging baskets, we're looking at the first week in May to stage those. Talked to Tammy Warren today, and she's got the yellow and red flowers and everything ready to go. So we're gonna check the soil on those and get those out in May. Street lights, we met with the contractor for the downtown streetlight project last week, and there's about a 12-week lead time on streetlights, which really isn't that bad. It's about a 3-month lead time. We hope to have that project done before the Millstone Festival in October. Once the lights get in here and we get them staged, we'll do a block at a time. So Tim and I also met with the sidewalk brick people, and we got another meeting with them next week, I guess it is. And we'll get them on a schedule to start block to block fixing all the bricks and the sidewalks downtown as well. So that's a good project. Let's see. The hotel feasibility study RFP will go out this Saturday. And I'm hoping to have the Section 8 RFP out this Saturday as well. So that's just some highlights on what we're doing. Pushing the ball forward every day.
Thank you, sir. Good to hear. Commissioner Brewer?
Just a couple of minor things. We had talked back about painting some of the concrete at the aquatic center where it was, are we still looking at that?
it would have to be a fall project, but we do have some ideas. We've got money in the budget for some concrete repair and painting in the fall.
You know,
It won't
to
happen
spruce it
before-
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it won't happen before the season this year.
And Madison Avenue, North Robbins Court, did you check with codes on that?
I sent it to them. I don't know where they
Oh,
are
okay.
with it yet, but I sent them that, yes.
And Amy, when's the EKU spring football game?
29th.
Next? That's next.
It's the 29th.
29th,
It's
isn't
on the
it?
big banner out there. in front of
Yes,
the
29th.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's right in front
I've
of the
been
football
kind of held up
field.
inside. I want to make sure I don't miss it, so. 29th, is that right?
Yeah,
Mindy?
Saturday the 29th.
It just does my heart so much good to get everything moving and going. That's what I like. Good deal. That's all, Mayor.
All right, Commissioner Goble.
Okay, I've been asked to talk about this. Gallery Hop in downtown Richmond this Friday and every second Friday through July. Stops are as follows: Madison Home, Gallery on Main, Richmond Area Arts Center, Giles Art Gallery at EKU, and the Richmond Register. Refreshments and bus loop provided. So just throwing that out there. And then tomorrow, most of you know I'm over at Leadership Madison County. They are doing a project, and right across the street from 4:30 to 6:30, Redeeming Hope event is going to happen. That's their class project. And if you remember a few weeks ago, Lisa Foster came and talked to us, and that is,
At this
And-
one, at this.
yes,
Or-
downtown, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so 4:30 to 6:30 tomorrow night, food and drinks, and they want to tell you about, the whole program and what's going on. So if you all would like to go, all LMC grads would be very welcomed. And then real quick, Young Life, I attended their banquet a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to talk to Trey. I've got breakfast with him this week, but to have him come and talk to us more about they're just helping kids at risk. They're going into the school systems and just making a difference. And there was a testimonial that would have blown your mind with a girl from Lexington. I was telling the mayor about it. But anyway, I would love for us to hear more about that, so I'm going to see if he can come talk to us. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Newby.
I have nothing, Colonel.
Colonel.
Don't
Colonel.
laugh at it.
We can add that to the list, then, right?
That's right. I mean, good
Commissioner
Lord.
Cole.
I'm
Mayor,
good, thank you.
Reverend,
Pastor,
Pastor.
Let me just mention this, three things real
Doctor.
quickly. One, I did not go in, but I did drive by the Tasty Tuesdays last week, and I was really impressed with the crowd that was there, and probably even better today with the weather being as good. So let me hear him get us out of here. Last week, and I couple this with my final one, but last week, our Richmond Police Department supervised, conducted, however you want to put it, an active shooter exercise. What timing, and what timing. Certainly, the hearts and prayers of the city of Richmond go to those folks affected in whatever way in this most recent tragedy, and one that has come close to home, as we say. So certainly we want to keep all of those folks in that situation in mind. I'm sure it opens for us in this community some wounds. That's it. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No.
Excuse me.
No.
I'm sorry
get to
about that.
talk?
We have.
She didn't.
Oh, okay, she didn't have anything. I missed
I'm
it. Usually
easy
Tammy
tonight.
has a heartfelt speech.
That's all, didn't it?
Yeah, I missed it.
We entertain a motion, please, that we will go out of the regular session into executive session according to KRS 61.810, subsection 1, subsub C, regarding pending litigation.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Cole.
Second.
Commissioner Newby. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Mayor Block?
Yes. Now, let's see. Tyler, I don't know if you're old enough. First of all, no, before we come back in, you may not be old enough to, that's not an insult, you know that. But do you know where the Lone Ranger takes his trash?
No, sir.
To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, 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 to the dump, to the dump, to the, okay, okay. Okay. See, he's not old enough.
I don't.
See, and he's glad
Give him a
he's
title,
not.
he's gonna start this now.
Oh, God. I'm just happy because we're not keeping Mindy in here all night long. That's all righty. May we have a motion, please come back into regular session?
I move.
Second.
Commissioner Newby, Commissioner Cole,
Yeah.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. And if all hearts and minds are clear, may we have a motion, please, to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Brewer, Commissioner Cole. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you so much.